Hello, lovely ladies. How are you, everybody?
Hello.
Hi, hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I'm very happy to see you all. And this is a very exciting interview. And I have a team here of amazing female lawyers. We're all females here today. And the reason why we're having this interview is because we are going to be talking about a very special event, which is the Rosenberg Moot, the second edition and the first edition, which we had actually last year. And the plans are that there's going to be a second edition coming up in January of 2025. We'll give more details about that towards the end. But just to start, we're going to be talking about what the Rosenberg Moot is and how it went the first time around. And we have Megan and Ines, who will later be talking about their experiences as they were involved in it. So just to start, though, and to give us some background information about the Moot, we have Anna here today. Hi, Anna, and thank you for joining us. I know we're all very busy, so it's very nice that we were able to make it today. Anna, if you can just please tell us about the Rosenberg Moot, the concept of it, and who can be part of it, and any other detail that you think will be relevant for our audience to know about this moot.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure to do that. Thanks, Maya. So I'm Anna Turbovich, and I'm a staff lawyer at the Court of Appeal. And the Rosenberg Mentorship Moot is named in honor of and inspired by Justice Marc Rosenberg, who he passed away in 2015. He was a judge on the court from 1995, and before that was one of Canada's finest appellate counsel. Justice Rosenberg, in addition to being a brilliant jurist, was also a wonderful mentor and legal educator. And it's sort of his example that really inspired the concept of this moot. So it's a moot. It's hosted by the Court of Appeal for Ontario. The organizers are the Associate Chief Justice of Ontario, Michael Fairburn, me, Anita Zaghetti, and Dina Bonet. So you've got little bits of ingredients from everywhere, creating this mooting opportunity that's really unique. So it's for counsel who have been called to the bar 7 years or less, so junior counsel who are interested in getting on their feet in front of Court of Appeal judges in their robes at Osgoode Hall, arguing what a moot based on a real criminal appeal, and no writing. It's all oral
Oral
mooting.
advocacy, yes.
Yeah. And the idea is it's why it's called a mentorship moot is the mooters are paired with wonderful accomplished members of the criminal appellate bar, and they typically will have a member from the defense bar and the crown who will help them prepare for their appearance before the Court of Appeal to make their oral argument. And it's really meant to be an opportunity for growth, for learning. If you've never been able to have a chance to argue an appeal, if you think maybe this is something I want my practice to go toward, if you'd like to learn, it's a great place. It's a safe place. It's warm. It's welcoming. It's fun. And it's also a place to make connections and friendships and sort of just professional, like expand your professional web. So there's lots of opportunities to meet other counsel at all levels of experience, and also judges and court staff. It's a really wonderful experience, and I wanted to share when the Associate Chief Justice was sort of summing it up. She had described it as a shining example of the bench and bar at their very best, and I couldn't agree more. I want to just open my heart and tell you how wonderful an experience it is.
Oh, we definitely feel it in your tone and your passion when you speak about the program, and it is a judgment-free environment. And I think Ines and Megan will talk a bit more about that when they will share their experiences being part of the program. But it is, as you said, and a very fun environment. And just to clarify, though, who can apply for? I mean, I know you mentioned that it's for lawyers who are members of the bar for 7 years or less, but in terms of gender and roles in the profession, it's open to pretty much everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah, all genders, all roles, criminal, or sorry, I'm all excited. Crown or defense. You've never done an appeal, you've done an appeal before, but you're hoping
Right.
to have a chance to
No
maybe
requirement
explore some new,
to be a
no prior, no.
practicing appellate lawyer, defense, Crown, duty counsel. Anybody can apply if they want to get that experience as well. And you also don't have to be a member of any particular association or organization. It's open to really everybody who's called to the bar 7 years or less. Okay.
And who's interested. And
Of
we mean
course.
it's warm and welcoming.
And how many days is it?
It's one day and it's a Saturday in January. So in the cold doldrums of January, you can come to the Court of Appeal for learning and fun, kindness and friendship and growth.
And there's usually also a social event, right? Before the actual moot day.
We did last year. We haven't finalized the details for this year, but so we did it. We took one break last year, and it's sort of like the half Olympics. So we did it in 2023, and now we'll do it in 2025. We had a kickoff event for it last year. I mean, 2 years ago, the mini Olympics ago.
Yeah.
And we had a special presentation from Marie Hennon and an advocacy demonstration by Nader Hassan. And then on the moot day is a Saturday. And at the lunch break, there's a little behind the scenes tour if you're interested of Osgoode Hall. And then there's cookies and fun at the end where we can all relax and socialize. And it's a really nice time the hard work is done. All the mooters receive feedback at the end of their moots from the panel of judges who are like Court of Appeal judges and some special guest judges. And it is the social time is the time to relax and mingle with lawyers and judges and court staff.
Right. And this is the prime networking time with other members of the bar, senior and junior. And when is the anticipated date for the second edition?
Second edition, Saturday, January 25th, 2025 at Osgoode Hall.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anna. Now I want to turn to two people who actually were part of the Rosenberg Moot and who participated. So I have Megan and Ines. Hi, ladies. And it's very nice to see you and to have you here with us today, because you're going to be telling us about what you did, how you participated. You were actual participants in the Moot, in the very first Rosenberg Moot. So if you can each tell us what you did, your role was, and your experiences, and just be honest, tell us honestly how you felt about the experience and if there's anything positive that you learned or gained from that experience. We would really like to know all of those details from you. So maybe Megan, will start with you. If you can just tell us about your experience and how you were involved.
All right, sounds great. Well, it's really nice to be here talking about this moot because I think it is a fantastic idea that has been launched from the Court of Appeal in such a perfect way to honor the incredible legacy of Justice Rosenberg. And I participated as one of the mentors in this moot, and it was a real honor to get to do that, and also really a lot of fun. And the way it worked is I was paired with, I now work doing criminal defense work and do appeals as well as complainant counsel work, among other things. But I previously was a Crown, so I've worn a bunch of different hats in the system, but I was paired with someone who is Crown Counsel of the Crown Law Office Criminal, and that was Matthew Asma. He and I had two mentees, relatively junior members of the bar, definitely under 7 years of call, who were very interested in appeals and knew a lot about the appeal process, but hadn't had the chance to sort of take the training wheels off and actually get into the Court of Appeal and argue an appeal. And the way it worked is we were in different locations, but we got together over Zoom a couple of times just to get to know each other first, but then to really like talk about like how we approach oral advocacy at the Court of Appeal, the ways of thinking about structuring your arguments for the court, like, you know, things like how do you handle questions from the bench when you're ready to go? How do you start with introducing ideas? How to really sort of feel comfortable in a place that can feel pretty intimidating otherwise. And so we actually had our mentees, you know, after having a couple of meetings where we would just sort of chat and get to know each other and talk at a high level, we had them kind of do a mock run for us over Zoom. So they were ready and had feedback from us before they had their outings at the Court of Appeal. But we attended the social event first, which was great. Watching Nader do his demonstration of advocacy is always amazing. And Marie and the associate chief spoke, and really it was a great event. But then watching our mentees take a run and argue their appeals before a panel of, in our case, it was 2 judges from the Court of Appeal and a guest judge who was amazing, and really watching also what it's really like to see one of these appeals come alive and watch them dealing with the responding counsel. It was fantastic, and I know just a really super experience for all of them.
And so there was an actual mock, there was a mock before the actual one. So that's really nice. That's a lot of training.
That's right. Well, it gave them a chance to sort of, you know, low stakes. Justice Megan is very not intimidating at all, but a real opportunity to sort of go, okay, so like, you know, before the Court of Appeal, here's the kinds of things you want to think about, and this is what you did really well. Here are other things you want to think about. So they'd had a chance to kind of do that run through before actually stepping out in front of the court.
And the actual moot itself, the mentees were robed, right? It was really mimicking the actual setting. You're in the Court of Appeal, you're robed, and you're in front of real judges.
Exactly. You're in front of the panel of 3 that you would normally be in front of at the Court of Appeal, or typically be in front of. You're wearing your robes, you're you know, standing up when they come into court, and you're doing, like, really everyone is in their role, and the judges really took their role seriously too, and I think they had a lot of fun with it. In fact, one of the judges on our panel has retired recently from the Court of Appeal, and he just did a fantastic job, was clearly enjoying being back on the bench. And they, because they are given copies of factums from an argument, so they aren't having to do that research, they aren't having to really create the arguments themselves. It really is an opportunity to focus on the oral advocacy part, which is the part that all of us can always use an opportunity to work on, and learn to feel comfortable kind of creating your own style, and not necessarily trying to, you know, not trying to be Marie, not trying to be Nader, but learning what your own style is, and how, when you are comfortable in the arguments you're making and you do it in your own way, that can be, in fact, incredibly effective. So yeah.
Yes, and I just want to stress on the fact that this is really a very good exercise in oral advocacy, because I don't think in law school they teach us much about oral advocacy, although we're lawyers, but we never really get trained on how to actually make oral submissions and arguments.
Absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, like this moot arose as we were coming out of COVID. And I
Yes.
think that there was a real shift in, especially for young lawyers in the province who didn't get those opportunities to just walk into a courtroom and watch advocacy at work. And I think that there is something really lost in not being around it and seeing different arguments, seeing different styles, seeing what works and what's persuasive. And I know as when I was doing my articles, I clerked at the Court of Appeal to start. And I remember, in fact, I remember Justice Rosenberg repeatedly saying, there's an excellent lawyer this day. You need to go into court and watch them. Like taking the time to go and watch different people at work, different kinds of arguments, even like sometimes going to see the civil cases, or you see different styles and you can learn so much, both what you want to pick up and maybe what you never want to pick up. And I think this was such a nice way for people to kind of get exposed to different styles, get to watch also. I know that the groups who argued their appeals in the morning would go and watch others in the afternoon. So you would have the opportunity to see more than one moot happen and see other people who are like also similarly situated in terms of years of call to the bar and experience. See how people kind of play with this in different ways. It's just it's such a safe environment to try things out. It's great.
Thank you, Megan. That was amazing. And I now turn to Ines because you were also involved in the first edition of the Rosenberg Moot, and you were a mentee. So I think a lot of people really want to hear from someone who actually did the year at the Moot. And I guess number one question is nervousness, because we're in this actual Court of Appeal setting, which is very intimidating, but also very nice. So just tell us about your experience and how you felt. And the work, I think also a big concern here for a lot of people is because we're doing this obviously on top of everything else that we still have to do. We're practicing lawyers. So was there an overload? Like, did it take too much time to prepare for it? And just tell us about your experience in this.
So just hearing, and thank you, Maya. So just hearing Megan and Anna speak, I can say I'm sold. If I wasn't already part of it, I would have signed up just hearing them talk. But I can say honestly, I would have in a heartbeat signed up again. Honestly, it was one of the most amazing experiences for me in terms of my career so far. So I applied because it was such an amazing opportunity to learn. First of all, it's, I haven't really seen any other programs that come even close to this type of, program where you get to be actually in front of Court of Appeal. You have amazing mentors. It's truly a judgment-free zone. And so when I saw that this program was created by Anna and Anita, I knew that, first of all, there's such amazing people and advocates. The program must be amazing. So that was my first reason why I got sold. And then secondly, was just the way that the program was presented. I knew that it's truly once of a lifetime opportunity, especially because I think I would be past the kind of eligibility for it. So I signed up. I also had mentors. Megan was not my mentor, but I can say everything she has indicated is exactly how my mentors have been as well, in terms of setting up meetings, then doing a little practice in front of them. And I can tell you, while Megan wasn't my mentor, she certainly is most definitely an amazing mentor, because I have her on a case where we are in opposing interests, let's say, and I have heard her give submissions, and I can tell you, I was like, yeah, these are amazing submissions. How am I even going to parallel to that? But it just shows that truly the quality of mentors is truly unparalleled. I believe from what I know about Megan, that she was in Supreme Court of Canada arguing, and it's true, you were getting that type of mentorship. I mean, where else apart from when you get picked to argue, with someone like Megan or other mentors, when do you truly have a chance to learn directly from them? So it's truly a blessing to be able to be paired with amazing advocates that can, in a very personal way, tell you where you're doing such a great job, but also where you could improve. And this whole program is about improvement. And what makes the program so great is that you can improve in such a safe environment, meaning you don't have that burden, of carrying someone else's life in your hands while also learning to do good advocacy, which, all of us as lawyers, we want to do the best for our clients. And sometimes we may, that you're not necessarily fully equipped, right? Because practice of law is about practicing and learning. And so the best way to get skilled is to learn in an environment where your life is not depending on you. Of course, again, it's part of our profession to do trials and learn this way, but this program offers you a case as if it's a real case, and I believe it was a real case. The material is already all prepared for you. So in terms of the load work, it's really not that much. If you want to learn and you want to grow, you should expect some workload. I mean, no learning experience comes easy, right? Nothing that's worthwhile is easy. And so if you sign up with the intent to truly improve and truly sharpen your skills, you should give 110% of yourself, especially that you have such great mentors and you're in front of Court of Appeal. And I have never been in front of Court of Appeal. I've been in front of Superior Court with one appeal case that I had. I am certainly interested in appeal, but it was such a great way to give 100% of yourself to truly be evaluated on your skills. And I think we shouldn't be afraid to put ourselves out there and say, okay, well, what do you really think about how I did? I think most of us who do trials would love to do that after a trial and just ask the judge, hey, how did I do? Did I do okay? So we can do that, obviously. And certainly we're not going to ask the Crown, hey, do you think I did a good job? So this is a great way to say, hey, judges, what do you think about how I did? And they will tell you, they do not shy away, which was, to be honest, such a great it's such a great dynamic. Like, I loved being in front of Court of Appeal, brilliant minds, and showing them, okay, this is what I believe the best that I can do. And I truly believe I gave my all, because I got chosen. It's a limited number of people that get chosen, or that can, I believe, get accepted. And so you should really do your best, because someone else didn't get picked, for example, or maybe they didn't know about it, right? So you should take full advantage. And so once you present your best, the judges will challenge you on it. And, it's an opportunity to see how you are on your feet, how you manage your anxiety or stress, and as well, how creative are you? Because what I've learned is that doing appeals and being an appellate advocate is about being creative. And as Megan said, you will never be another Mary Henane, okay? And you shouldn't. Mary Henane is unique because that's who she is. And I, for example, I think I'm Ines Gavran, and I want to be known for being Ines Gavran, but you can learn from Mari, you can learn from Megan, you can learn from Anita, I can learn from you, Maya, right? But ultimately, it's about who you are and being authentic and being creative. And that's really what makes a lasting impression, and that's what's persuasive. Making an argument that you kind of copy paste, like, we could all just read a factum that's already written for us and pretty much like just recite those arguments, and it wouldn't be persuasive. And that's why this program is already, it already gives you the materials, because it's not about reciting them, it's about making them yours and adding your own personal touch to it, with, of course, pointers that your mentors will give you. So it was a truly amazing dynamic to, you know, get challenged by, like, I think it was, from, if my memory serves me correctly, 3 different Court of Appeal judges who are coming at you at different, you know, angles, and you have to look at each judge and you have to know their name, and you have to, you know, really apply the rules of proper appellate advocacy, which is answer the question. Like, don't tell the judge, wait, I just want to finish my point. Answer the question, right? And that's another thing that you learn in this program is you learn that you have to, you know, give your submissions in the short time frame that you have, while also developing the ability to answer the question asked, right? And if you don't answer the question, well, that's where the judges are wondering what to do with that issue, and you have to assist them. And you just going through your submissions, you know, or finishing your submissions are not necessarily going to assist with that question. So I think that's the main challenge in every appellate kind of case, where, especially I would say in Supreme Court, where you have such a short amount of time and you're getting, you know, just questions like from everywhere, and you have to manage that. So I think that's where this program offers you the opportunity to develop that ability to say what you want to say and what you need to say, but at the same time assist the court with what they're struggling with. And another great thing is that after you're done your submissions, they each give you their feedback, and it's a very well balanced feedback. They will tell you what you've done really great. So, you know, you should be like, oh, okay, this is great. I have to remember to always do this. But they also tell you where you need to just adjust the way. And it's often nothing really big. Like, we always self-criticize a lot that, like, oh my God, did I really do this correctly? Or maybe I didn't. But often the feedback you get is what truly judges think you've done a good job. You just need to adjust certain things to make it more effective. So even when you get feedback, it's not the type of feedback to criticize you. You will still have your self-confidence when you walk out. And overall, you just can truly be inside of the judge's mind, learn, you know, about how they think, why they think the way they do, and apply it. And that's truly like you've opened this like pot of gold, and you've taken it, put it in your pocket, and now you can use it for your actual cases. So when it comes to, you know, people who may think that this is a lot of work, to be honest, it's way more work to get a case from your client and try to figure out, you know, all of this on your own, then put time into learning from the best and applying it and getting feedback. And now you can truly represent your client the best way. So I think it's such an amazing opportunity. To be honest, I think it's a privilege to be able to be part of this program. And certainly I recommend it to absolutely everybody who applies. I think it's such an excellent program. It's so well organized. I think the fact that you can, you know, have a little practice run with your mentor is a great way to learn from them. And then they're there to support you when you're doing your actual submission. So I have nothing but great things to say. I'm smiling ear to ear because I'm thinking of, you know, my memories are coming back from that time. And I just remember leaving the courtroom, like, being so exhilarated by the experience. Honestly, everybody was so happy, and truly everybody enjoyed it. You can see it on other people. And the best part is at the end, you get to take pictures with your judges. So, you know, you can go back to your family and see, like, see, you know. So honestly, I have nothing but amazing things to say.
Yes, thank you so much, Ines. And it's really nice because you also, I mean, the feedback part is crucial in this whole thing, because as practicing lawyers, we don't necessarily get feedback. I mean, sometimes we do when a judge gets really mad, and so we will make comments on the record, but you have a client who's also listening. So this is really very good to actually know what went wrong, because I mean, we all make mistakes and we want to learn, and you're getting direct feedback from some of the best lawyers and judges, and you get to, and makes you think about what is it that you're doing that you need to work on, that you need to improve. And obviously, I mean, it must be stressful to do it, but it is a lot less stressful than the actual appeal when you have to do it. So it's a really an excellent.
And I think it's more like, excitement than it is stress, because again, it's simply, you've already practiced for it. You already know what the arguments are because they're
Right.
literally written there for you. You have the factum. You don't even have to figure out the lawyer arguments. They're there. You just need to take the arguments, point, summarize it in a way that it really fits what oral advocacy is, and then apply those rules. It's really that. I mean, it's like you're on an exam where the answer is already there, so it's a different type of stress. It's more of an excitement and being in front of the judges that are very well respected. And it's, like I said, it's more excitement than it is actual stress. You're not
Yeah.
getting a decision afterwards. You're just getting feedback.
Right. And it's an excellent opportunity to test your style, because I think one of the things that we don't really have time to do when we're working on an actual case, we don't have the time to go and be creative and try a style and see how it's going to work with judges. And you just want to be careful because your client is there. But here you can try if you would like to express yourself in a different way, or you want to experiment with a different style. You get that opportunity to be a bit more theatrical maybe and see how it's received.
I absolutely agree with you, Maya, because that's exactly what I feel you could do. So, my nature is that I like to make a little bit of jokes. Like, I don't like everything being so serious because sometimes it's not as authentic, and I've seen more senior lawyers, even in trials, like crack jokes, and I'm like, oof, and everybody's laughing. I'm like, okay, that's kind of risky, but it shows that they're just being who they are, but they take the case seriously. And I think it's just the ability of being comfortable with yourself and your personality, and kind of reading the room. And I think everybody appreciates that as well. So when I was doing my submissions at the Court of Appeal, there was a question about poppy seeds, and like I made just a passing, not a joke, but just a sarcastic comment, because what, that's my personality. I think I've executed my job properly, but this is also who I am. And honestly, I think that the Court of Appeal judge, who also is now retired, really was very receptive to my comment and joked back, which I was so surprised, because I was like, thank God I read the room properly. But it really made that interaction way more personal, and that lowered my stress. And I felt like it could really be a natural kind of back and forth exchange versus being, I'm judged on everything I say, and then it's a very serious comeback from them. It was really just about being natural, and that makes you actually, your stress level like decreases, and it becomes truly that exchange of intelligence in a way, and creativity. And I think that's when you become very persuasive. So I'm not saying everybody should make jokes. I'm just saying be yourself and allow your personality to be seen. And I'm sure Megan can also comment on that, because I mean, she has seen mentees who are not me, and perhaps maybe she can say whether her mentees were, comfortable to feel comfortable enough to show who they are as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually think that is such an important thing. Like, if you're not someone who is naturally funny or has a sense of humor, trying to work in a joke is just going to almost certainly bomb. And that's what I meant too with the trying to be Marie Hennen. Don't be Marie if you're not Marie. And I learned that early on because my mentor, when I started at the Crown Law Office Criminal many years ago, was now the amazing Associate Chief Justice Mikhail Fairbairn. And I remember she was prepping me for my first appeal, and you need to go in and you need to stay and you need to say it like this. And I am not a bang on the table kind of person. And I went in, and I was so trying to channel her energy, but was like, really doesn't feel like me. And I remember the reaction of the judges was very much like, they were coming over. This was an appeal that I should not have been even called on as the Crown, but they were coming over the table at me really? And I think you learn over time. You have to really, I think if you are yourself and your own genuine self, you develop a style that feels comfortable. And so this moot does give you the opportunity to try that on. How far can I be myself? Maybe my sarcastic self is appropriate sometimes, but other times it crosses a line. So, you know, you kind of figure out what works for you. And I think, as Inez said so well, it's a really low stakes environment where your client isn't over your shoulder wondering how this is all going to play out, or your boss or whatever else. And so it's really just a great opportunity to try and learn to be an advocate in a way that feels comfortable and fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your experience and your involvement in the Moot. And so now what we want to talk about, and maybe here everyone can join in, is we're going to be having a second edition. So we were talking extensively now about the first edition, but there is going to be a second round of the Rosenberg Moot, and that's coming up in January of 2025. Anita, so just tell us, what can we expect for the upcoming Rosenberg Moot? Is it going to be exactly the same? Are there going to be some changes? I know not everything is finalized at this point, but just to give people an idea, because registration is going to open up soon. And so people, just so they can know what to expect.
Right. So applications to become Mooters or mentees will go out to various partnering organizations early in September, hopefully, so in the fall. They are applications. So I want to make sure people do understand that we want to be very accessible. So it is open to anyone to apply. But we do, in the selection process, because we are oversubscribed, so we had many more applicants than the program could accommodate, even though we tried to accommodate as many people as possible. Resource limitations. If you think about opening up the Court of Appeal on a Saturday, the kinds of effort and coordination it takes to have Court of Appeal judges, Superior Court judges, an enormous amount of work behind the scenes goes into this program. And I want to take a moment to give a special shout out to our Associate Chief Justice, the Honourable Mikhail Fairburn, whose leadership allowed the program to flourish, and also to all the court staff and all the judges who donated their time. And also to Dina Bonet, who couldn't be with us today, but from Clock, who facilitated on behalf of the Crowns who participate. We have Crowns participating from PPSC as well as from Clock. So the selection of the Mooters is mindful of a number of things, and that will be the case again this year for 2025. One of the things we prioritize are people who would otherwise age out of the program. So this year it'll be 2016 calls and later. So if you're a 2016 call, we might accept you to the program because next year or the next time we run the program, you would not be eligible. So we want to make sure people get a chance. We also want to prioritize people who have no other meaningful access to this type of mentorship, who are not, in a firm where they have appellate mentors or do appellate advocacy, but maybe they've opened a sole practice, or they're in a small firm. Or they face other barriers. NCA candidates, we had international lawyers who may not immediately have the ability to connect with mentors in the appellate world sort of naturally or organically. We're mindful as well that, the pandemic has meant a lot of isolation for younger lawyers. So one of the reasons we have both Defense Counsel and Crown Counsel participate in the program, both as mentors and Mooters, is to allow for that collegiality, that camaraderie to build across the aisle between defense and crowns. Because, the criminal bar, one of the beauties of practicing criminal law is we can do battle in the courtroom. And then as soon as that's over, it's how are the kids? Where are you going on a holiday? Let's go grab a beer. And we fear that some of that may have been lost during the pandemic. So we want to foster that environment as well. In terms of the mechanics, people can apply to become a mentee or a Mooter starting in September. There will be a selection committee and will be, as I say, prioritizing. We welcome everyone from equity seeking groups, so we'll be prioritizing access. the whole point is barrier-free access.
Right. And on
So
that, sorry, Anita, also people from outside of Toronto can also apply to be mentees. You don't have to be from Toronto, even though the moot is happening in the Ontario Court of Appeal in Toronto, but we had people from Ottawa and outside as well.
anywhere in Ontario. From outside Ontario would be difficult because it's going to be likely a moot problem that's based in Ontario.
Right.
This is the Ontario Court of Appeal. So absolutely across Ontario. In exceptional circumstances, Zoom access to the moot may be provided, as the Court of Appeal also does in real life provide that access. So I think it's going to look a lot, hopefully it'll look a lot like last year. It's going to have a different moot problem. We're not going to keep recycling the same problem. And, we may or may not see some different mentors, some different judges, but the spirit and philosophy of the program remains the same. It's mentorship, it's collegiality, it's learning some experience in oral advocacy in the Court of Appeal. And I just wanted to say that we're, hearing from Ines. By the way, I watched Ines do her moot in 2023, and she really knocked it out of the park. I think I was there for the joke about the poppy seeds. And she did fantastic. And the feedback we got from the program, from everyone, was a universally positive, overwhelmingly positive feedback. And what was so meaningful, we had lawyers with disabilities, lawyers with mental health issues who are coming in after a break from a practice. The fact that there's no cost involved, the fact that it's not a competitive moot, it's an experiential moot. So you don't have to try out, you don't have to, and you're not trying to win the moot or the case. There's not awards at the end. It's not competitive. So that's what makes it so collaborative and supportive. And I think, Maya, you and I are very involved with Wicked. We've seen through Wicked the sort of thirst and hunger and need for experiential mentorship and for the ability to try things in a safe environment. The Court of Appeal can be intimidating. Appellate litigation can be intimidating. We have 60,000 lawyers in Ontario, very nearly, and honestly, a handful are regularly in and out of that court. So it's very hard to imagine that practice as anything but, sort of elite and intimidating and something that you can't do unless somebody tells you that you can do it. And the other thing is people conceive of, okay, there's trial lawyers and then there's appeal lawyers, and never the two can meet or whatever. But that's not true, of course. There are lots of people who do trials and also do appeals. And as a matter of fact, the people who do both, I think, benefit a great deal, and they become better trial lawyers when they are familiar with how appeals work and how the issues are isolated and what people focus on. So some of the feedback we had was great in the sense of, we had young lawyers say to us, I loved it so much. I got so much out of the experience and the interaction with the judges. And I felt like I really conquered, some aspect of this, special kind of advocacy where I just want to do more. And we had sole practitioners who had the confidence to say, I took on appeals as a result of that. I began, to have an appellate practice as part of my criminal defense practice. I also heard from at least one person who said, it was a really important thing for me to try in this safe environment. And one of the things I learned about it was that this is not something that I think that I want to pursue. And that's really helpful to know early on too, because then you don't spend your whole career wondering, should I do my own appeal? Should I argue appeals? Is this something that I need to provide this service to my clients, or is this something I should refer out? Because even in the process, if what you learn is, I didn't really feel that this is a good fit for me or something that I enjoy or something that I want to pursue, you've learned something in a way that hasn't cost your client their freedom. But that doesn't mean you didn't have fun. You had fun, and then you decided maybe not for me. And that's an important lesson to have learned as well. So the feedback we got was fantastic. Nobody regretted the experience, as far as I know. And I'm really gratified to hear from Megan and Ines how much they enjoyed it. And and we as organizers, I think found it an incredibly gratifying and rewarding experience as well. So the hope is that the program plants some seeds among our newest lawyers and encourages them to have ongoing mentoring relationships with the people they meet, because it's not just the two mentors that you're paired with that you're developing relationships with. There is a social aspect to it. Yeah, you can be involved in watching other people's moots, and you make connections, and those connections hopefully will last you, in the long run, perhaps throughout your career, or some connections might. So I think maybe we're raising a new generation of appellate lawyers, or those who will want to come into the Court of Appeal and argue appeals, and hopefully the effect will be a ripple effect as well, so that the young lawyers who are able to gain this confidence on their feet through the Rosenberg Mentorship Moot can have these conversations with others of their colleagues, right? Like, I did it, you can do it, whether it's the program or just the idea of don't be terrified of an appeal. Ultimately, it's just making arguments. It's not this esoteric thing that's totally out of your league that people are terrified about. So the idea is just to make it accessible to anyone who has an interest in trying their hand at it. And there may even be an opportunity to argue moot in French. That was supposed to be something that we consider doing. And so hopefully if we find enough French-speaking people who have an interest in doing that, can try that as well. So we're looking forward to another incredibly positive experience for everyone involved.
Thank you so much, Anita. And for anyone who's watching this and who's interested, I strongly recommend that you participate in the upcoming Rosenberg Moot. As Anita indicated, the registration is opening up soon in September, early September. So it's open to everyone. It's free. And it gives you, if anything, the wonderful opportunity to go and be in the Court of Appeal. So just for that, that's a very worthwhile experience as well. So that's really very nice. And I want to thank you all for taking the time today. I know it was difficult for us to coordinate all our schedules, but we made it. Thank you for taking the time to be here and to share with us your experiences and to tell us about your work on this amazing moot. And I really look forward to the upcoming one and how things are going to unfold. And we'll have maybe another interview where we'll talk about the second edition of the Rosenberg Moot. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I personally would like to thank Anna and Anita for accepting me to be part of the program. Honestly, it was such a meaningful experience for me, and I'm very grateful that you've came up with this program. It's truly one of a kind.
You did us proud, Ines.
Oh, thank you.
My t-shirt.
Thank you. And thank you, Maya, as well, of course, and Megan.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you all.
Thanks so much. This was great.